I'm Julia Larkin, and I'm the international intern here at El Tiempo at the moment. I'm going to be talking a little bit today about what the climate's like here in Colombia with the congressional elections that are happening. It's a really interesting situation that's kind of going on here. We've got a very polarized situation. But Colombians today are faced with a couple of different decisions to make. So, first of all, because this is a multi-party, bicameral situation, what's going on is that Colombians have to choose, first of all, candidates going forward to support them in the House of Representatives. That's one half of the Congress. But also they've got to choose candidates for the Senate. So these are two separate decisions. And for the Senate, we've got candidates that are basically national candidates, whereas for the House of Representatives, these are representatives that are chosen on a kind of local, department-based decision. And in terms of departments, I mean there are 32 departments here in Colombia, but also there are various other special departments. So, for instance, there has to be one representative for Colombians abroad. And Colombians abroad have been able to be kind of voting across the world. There have been 720,000, a little bit more than that, voting for their representative throughout this week. But apart from those, we've got more decisions to be kind of making here, because it's not just the Congress that's being decided today, because what's going on the 27th of May is the presidential elections. And so things that are being decided today are feeding into those decisions. And so not only do we have two decisions in terms of the House of Representatives and the Senate, we've also got consultas, which are basically consultations, kind of like polls. They're not obligatory, so Colombians don't have to put votes forward for these, but they're just two more decisions that can be made. And what these are basically deciding which parties people want to put forward for those presidential elections. And then in May, that will be the first round of the presidential elections. And that will decide, of course, who's going to be president later on, and then there'll be another round probably, depending on how big the majority is, depending on how it all goes on the 27th of May. But what's very interesting here, and what's incredibly difficult, is that it's so polarized. So on the left, we've got the candidate, more or less, the candidate with who's looking like he's got the most power at the moment. We've got Gustavo Petro. And he was mayor here in Bogota a couple of years ago and has a pretty varied reputation. He's kind of relatively far left. However, on the right, we've got candidates like Iván Duque, who is backed by Álvaro Uribe, and Uribe was president here 2002 to 2010. And that's kind of the relative far right. So what we've got here is, like I said, extreme polarization, but this is really happening because of a huge tension caused by FARC, or the ex-guerrilla group. FARC represents it's the Revolutionary Armed Forces for Colombia, and this ex-guerrilla group caused a lot of bloodshed over the last couple of decades. So, in order to vote for Petro, the far left, people are kind of voting in favor of the peace process with FARC rather than against it. Whereas on the right, a lot of people are extremely against what's going on with this fragile peace agreement with FARC. And so people are incredibly divided. And it's also intensified by the fact that because of this fragile peace agreement that was agreed in 2016, FARC are actually guaranteed 10 seats in Congress from now on, from this year. So that means 5 seats in the Senate and 5 in the House of Representatives, which of course is a really contentious decision that was made because so many people are so against FARC because of very, very personal occurrences and because of all the bloodshed. And so it's a really, really tense situation. And on top of that, at the moment, with these consultations, or the consultas, what's going on is that in certain cities, so in Medellin and even here in Bogota, some of the ballot papers have run out, and so we've got a tricky situation because, you know, they're saying that more ballot papers are being printed or that they're being moved from other places, but each ballot paper has to now be re-signed by the individual jury in the polling stations. So things are a little bit difficult and very tense at the moment, and is a country that's very divided. And yes, there are some more central candidates, such as Humberto de la Calle or Vargas Llera or Sergio Fajardo, but more or less, we're really seeing this polarization, and that's kind of what's defining what's going on at the moment, and what's making it so interesting. And so if anyone has any questions on Facebook Live at the moment, I'd be really happy to answer them. But yeah, so this is it's a fascinating situation, I think, to be witnessing at the moment, because you know it's incredibly unique. It's yes, we've got polarization happening across the world. I mean, even obviously where I'm from in the UK, but it's just not on such a crazy level, and so it's going to be very, very interesting. And the votes will be coming in, or the results of the votes are going to be coming in at like about 5:30 today. Those won't be the certain kind of results, but that's the kind of prime time today. And voting will close at 4 p.m. We'll also, of course, with those results, be hearing from the Colombians abroad, how they voted for the whole of this week, and that's also going to be really interesting. And as well as Colombians abroad, we've got representatives for, say, indigenous populations or the Afro-Colombian populations, and so we're going to be hearing a little bit from those too. Ooh, it looks like we might have a question. Just a second. Andres Felipe Gonzalez Garcia comments, making a decision about this situation in English is an excellent idea. Congratulations to El Tiempo for their contribution to this important day. That's you know, great to hear, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to open up the conversation, and I think, you know, coming from the UK, I'd heard about the peace process. I knew a little bit about what was going on, but it's complex, and so it's really, really important to, and I'm really feeling that here, it's important to people that the conversation is being opened to other nations, to other populations, and that we're kind of encouraging discussion, and we're you know, trying to see things from different perspectives, and yeah, you know, it's something that I've found absolutely fascinating coming here. And I think that might be our only question or comment for today. Thanks a lot.